Today is the 80th anniversary of D-Day, where the Allied troops arrived on Normandy on the beaches for the coordinated attacks, the greatest coordinated attacks in military history. And we're talking about it because photos are now collectible. And one of the most collectible wartime photos of all time is the one taken on this date by Robert Sargent of the Coast Guard, who is standing in the back of one of the amphibious landing vehicles, taking a picture of the men leaving as they're unloaded into the crazy waters of Omaha Beach. And just to see the sky and how dark it is, and with 100-pound backpacks with the waves and the drowning potentially, and then you have the Germans shooting from the cliffs ahead. The chance of survival for these guys that went first was as close to zero as possible, and yet they did what they did. And so it's really between this Into the Jaws of Death photo, perfectly named, tragically named, and the flag raising at Iwo Jima, that is kind of the back and forth of the 1-2 in the most collectible wartime photos of all time. We're told that the population of the Iwo Jima has three PSA Type 1s, where this has 12, the Into the Jaws of Death. But I would argue, despite the fact that Iwo Jima has less of a Type 1 population, Into the Jaws of Death is such an emotional photo, knowing the chances that these guys had to live, and yet they unselfishly went into the waters. And it's one of those photos I stare at, and I can't believe their sacrifice. Those guys knew exactly what their chances of survival were, and yet they still exited that boat and did what they did. And so not only do I think this is a incredible photo, but I also would say on this D-Day to thank the men and their families for their incredible sacrifice.